How's it going, guys? As you guys saw on the Japanese Arknights live stream from last week and today's official Twitter announcement, you would know that we're getting the new limited operator banner, Nearl the Radiant Knight for our limited 6-star and Flametail as our non-limited 6-star banner. And here I am again making a Shiju pool video. And some of you might think, he's doing it again. He's milking this old concept of Shiju pool forever. He's been doing it for 2 years. It's getting so old. But you have to think about it from the other direction. If I don't make Shiju pool video, am I still me? No. So if someday you guys see me missing out on a Shiju pool video for whatever reason, hype for a 3rd anniversary or just whatever, that's not me. The account would be taken over. If it's me, I will always make this video. So, back to the topic. Should you pull this Nearl the Radiant and Flametail banner? It's a simple answer. Yes, but with a but, you don't want to pull for both of the 6 stars. You only want to pull for one of the 6 stars. So, let us get into it. Who should you pull and who you should not pull for? Everyone pretty much knows the answer. But let us begin from Flametail, our non-limited 6-star Vanguard, who has block 2s, so similar to Saga and Texas. She has higher attack than defense. That's why I bring up Texas, especially in this situation. Also for another reason you will see. And as you can see, I didn't level her up to the max. I didn't M3 any of her skills. She's only level 69. Nice. But her stats is pretty fine for the category of Vanguard she is in, right? So, her talent. Her talents are quite interesting. So her first talent is that when she triggers an evasion, when she dodges, right, an enemy's attack, her next attack will become a double hit. Also, she will hit all enemies that she is blocking or she can block. So she will hit 2 enemies at the same time. If you can increase her block some way, she will hit 3, obviously. Her second talent is that when she is on the field, all Casimire's operators, did I pronounce that correctly? All Casimire's operators will gain 22% physical dodge, or P5, then that becomes 25% physical dodge. So as you can see, this is already the type of archetype, the type of operator that they're aiming for. Dodge and then countering, right? So that actually affects how effective her skills are. Pun not really intended. That was not intended. Now, her first skill. She will immediately gain 6 DP and she will dodge the next physical attack. Yeah. Personally, I would never use this skill. Actually, I've never used a skill 1 on these block 2 Vanguard in a long time. And with this one, generating even less DP for a 18-second cooldown at M3, not really for me. Yeah. Skill 2 is why I brought out Texas for comparison to this operator. So it is a 40 SP skill, and once triggered, she will immediately generate up to 13 DP. She will deal 240% physical damage twice to surrounding enemies, up to 6 enemies that is around her, similar to the area of Texas skill 2. Again, why I bring up her skill. And she will stun the targets that she hits for 0.5 seconds. Not finished yet. All allies within that area will also gain up to 50% physical evasion for up to 10 seconds. Well, 10 seconds. Now you see why I brought up Texas for the comparison of this operator. Now, once you M3 her, she will have 30 initial SP. So only a 10-second, 10 SP wait before you can trigger the skill. Once you bring in P5 bagpipe, that will become 2 seconds. Really, again, just like Texas. But 0.5 second stun is the biggest problem. Obviously, having the stun is, having the dodge is really cool. But most of the time, you really trying to drop down and then stun the enemies, right? You don't really want to gamble on dodge, except for maybe situations like CC, or I don't know, a pure Vanguard team if you're into that. So that's the only situation where I can see that coming in, where you want the dodge, when you can do nothing else but dodge, or you just need that dodge, which is really, really rare, right? Unless you're doing, again, if you're doing pure Vanguard team, having that dodge will greatly increase the survivability of all the Vanguards, including letting them be healed by Nearl on the side, which is very interesting. 0.5 second stun will also help them just stun the enemy once, so you can, it's actually really good to stop the enemy's attack. So if they're mid animation, that's the best she can do. 0.5 seconds really isn't much. For CC, where you know you're just gambling for the chance to get the highest risk, perhaps. Now, skill 3, the usual key of a 6-star operator, and this actually is how it is this time. So with a 16-second SP generation time, I have 19 seconds here, M3 16 seconds, 16 SP. She will gradually get 8 DP in the duration of 8 seconds. Her attack interval will greatly reduce. Attack will increase by up to 90% at M3, block count +1. Also, she will get 80% physical and arts dodge. Now, how should I put it this way? Her evasion rate is cool. You can think of this 8 seconds, if you're lucky enough, she is pretty much invincible for the 8 seconds. And considering that every time she dodges, she can do double hit plus hit 2 targets, you can see how with her skill 3, she is like focusing on clearing out a pack of mobs, not elite enemies, not as much, nor boss. Have you guys ever think of another, like, does that trigger you into thinking about another operator? Like, I don't know, Saga, that I just brought up when I mentioned her at the start of this video, when I started talking about Flametail. The thing is, if you are into any other situation where you do not, the enemies are not strong enough to kill Saga immediately, Saga is the better choice, right? That is just very clear. Saga is just better at clearing enemies because of her range and so on. And then in terms of survivability, the only situation where you want this is that enemies are so strong that you can only rely on dodge, which is another very niche situation. Obviously, even Saga isn't really being used personally by me nowadays. Not gonna be using this. That's why this is an M3. So that being said, obviously everyone know now that I don't recommend you pulling for Flametail. Instead, I would recommend you to pull for Nearl the Radiant Knight, the limited operator. Now, before we talk about Nearl, I have to mention that yes, I do recommend pulling for Nearl the Radiant Knight, but just because you get Flametail, don't be sad about it. She can still do well. If you don't have Saga, she can replace her in a lot of situations, and like I said, her dodge is quite unique. So even if you get Flametail and you don't have Saga, you can level her up. She's actually not that bad. She's better than Siege, just a bit less as strong, personally, in my opinion, than Saga. Now, the real deal, the most important operator, Nearl the Radiant Knight. As you can see, super high HP, super high attack, not as much defense. She is just like Scotty, block 1, by the way. She's just like Scotty, the original one. And they're in the same category of guard and so on. So you guys might think, what? Wait, didn't Scotty get an altered version of her, right? Then why is Nearl so good? Let me explain. First of all, let's talk about her talent. Yes, ignore the module part. I forgot to unlock her module. I'm really sorry. my bad. Her first talent is that when she is deployed, she will immediately deal 80% of her attack as true damage to enemies to the surrounding 4 tiles. Not 8 tiles, 4 tiles. So in a crisscross pattern, in a cross pattern. And stun them for 3 seconds. As you can see, this is already strong. This is just like red skill 2, but in talent. Does that explain enough? And true damage as well. This is actually insane. Now, if the previous deployed operator belongs to the faction Casimir's, I can't really pronounce that. I'm really sorry. Then that will deal an extra damage. So that's damage twice. Now, her second talent is that when she's attacking, she ignores 20% of enemy's defense. Simple, right? But so deadly. That goes up to 23% at P5, which personally I really wouldn't recommend chasing for unless you're like max risk CC. Even then, I still really wouldn't recommend. Now, let's talk about her skill. Her skill is where she truly shines. Skill 1. After 60 seconds of charging, she will have increased attack range by 1 tile, increased attack by up to 70% at M3, also attack speed increased by 50, and infinite duration. Now, obviously, you would think something similar to Blaze, skill 2, which I agree, I totally agree. But you have, it's a bit different, right? Blaze is more focused on the block 3, hit 3, while Nearl in this situation is more focused on hitting 1 target, so maybe killing elite. And obviously you want to put her behind like a block, so someone that can actually block 2 or 3, and then she's behind actually supporting, not really the one dealing the majority of the damage, unlike Blaze. Now, obviously, there is a downside to that. Blaze can pretty much defend 1 lane on her own, plus a medic, while Nearl cannot do that. But you have to consider that this is an infinite duration skill, and whenever you have an infinite duration skill, it's kind of worth giving it a try. I didn't M3 it because I am kind of into other skills, which is our next point. Skill 2 of Nearl the Radiant Knight is the key, the star, the one, the only skill that has a passive effect that does not use deployment limit as a 6-star operator. Need I repeat again? She, with her skill 2, just like robots like Castle and what was the other one? The medic one. She doesn't use deployment limit. That alone makes her irreplaceable. No one else will be able to replace her. Whenever we talk about other operators, right, you can always be like, well, Surtur is strong, Summer Chen is strong, and then, yeah, they use up deployment limit, so you won't really want to replace you don't want to replace them with 2 other operators just to do the same effect, right? You might be like, oh, well, Surtur is stronger than Nearl. But what about Surtur plus Nearl? With this ignoring deployment limit, you can do no matter in what situation, as long as you have enough DP and slot to put her in your team, she plus other operator is always better than the operator alone. Make sense? Yeah. After explaining all of that, let us continue with her skill 2 description, because I haven't said anything yet. Now, after deployed, she will have plus 160% attack, 2.6 times the attack. That is already over 1,000, and that's without the module. The module gives her another 70 attack. She will also gain 4 layers of shield. So just like shield on Mudrock, she just nullifies attack. You can see how strong that is. You can definitely see how strong that is. Now, the skill only lasts for 27 seconds, and once the skill is over, she will immediately retreat, not die, so you will get the DP, some DP back. The next redeployment time is increased by 25%. That is the only one difficult part, I would say, when dealing with her. But obviously, if you bring in, Silver Ash, this really doesn't matter as much. If the last deployed operator is in the Casimir's function, then the redeployment time does not increase. But a lot of the situations you wouldn't really bring a Casimir's operator just to avoid the increased deployment time. I think that makes sense. And as you can imagine, you have infinite amount of applications for this kind of skill. And because this is skill 2, you can get this at E1. At E1, skill level 7, you still get plus 120% attack and 3 layers of shield, which is still perfectly fine. She deals tons of damage even at E1. So if you're new to the game and you're like, I got Nearl the Radiant Knight, use her skill to your best. She's definitely worth it. Now, skill 3. Usually I would always be like, skill 3 is the most unique, the strongest, so on and so forth, which a lot of the times is the truth. And looking at her skill 3, it is definitely strong. So when you trigger skill 3, she will immediately deploy a sword pillar-ish thing in the surrounding 4 tiles, so you can stab it behind her and deal 110% of Nearl's damage as true damage to surrounding enemies and stun them for 3 seconds. You can think of her talent 1, but 110% true damage, which is nice. She has increased attack area similar to True Silver Slash, but -1 tile. Attack increased by up to 140%. Defense increased by up to 100%. That isn't really that useful because her initial defense isn't really that high, but the increased attack is really good. When she's attacking enemies that is blocked by herself or the sword pillar thingy that she stabbed, the damage type turns into true damage. Now, this looks fairly good on paper, right? True damage with like over 2,000 attack, like over 2,500, 2,600 attack. This sounds so good. What can go wrong? Why wouldn't I think that this is the best skill of her? One thing, when she is attacking enemies that is blocked by herself or the pillar, then the attack type turns into true damage. So you can think of the situation where, because her range is actually further away than where she can stab the pillar, that when the enemies aren't even blocked, she would hit them, and that's 1 attack wasted. Now, knowing that her attack interval is 1.5 seconds and the skill only lasts for 25 seconds, she only gets less than 20 hits, right? So 1 of that means you're wasting a lot of damage potential. Yeah, you might think, well, I'll do it when the enemies are close enough. The thing is, the pillar only blocks 2 enemies, and when the pillar is blocking 2 enemies and a 3rd enemy comes into the tile of the pillar, which means it is not blocked by the pillar nor blocked by Nearl herself yet, and she attacks them, that still doesn't count as true damage. You see the problem? It sounds so good on paper. It sounds like you can't go wrong. That's what I thought when the description of this skill, until I tried it out, and there's just more situations where the true damage does not work than it actually working. And that is my biggest problem with skill 3. It looks super good on paper, only 40 SP to charge, 25-second duration, high damage, even extra block, stuns, everything is stacked, true damage, right? But the skill is really hard to use. It's hard to use. And it's not even like, oh, well, you just need some brain. No. Because, yes, you can probably work it out, but why don't you just use skill 2, which does not use a deployment limit, and you can summon another operator that can do something similar, like a monster with Calcit, perhaps? And then you use Nearl to do the extra stuff, right? If you want true damage, you can let monster do it. If you want block 3 blocks in combined into one single tile, monster. You don't need a pillar plus Nearl to combine to get 3 blocks. You don't need that. You can just monster. Quick pause on the video. So this is me from the next day. Some of you might be aware that there is currently a new strategy for this really hard stage in CN, where the video used a team with pretty much all low rarity except for Nearl, using skill 3 as the only 6-star. And you know, it's a pretty impressive feat, of course, but that does not change my stance of what I recommend most people to M3 her skill 3. And the reason is that everything I said still is the same, right? It is hard to use, the circumstances are really rare. If you want to use this skill, level this skill with all those resources spent just for that one situation, and then you want to do it with only one 6-star, except for like many other 6-stars or whatever, however you like, you want like, okay, I want to challenge myself, I want to do it just like this guy, you just want to copy that strategy. Even in that case, you can probably just borrow someone else's skill 3 M3, but if you really want to do that, sure, go ahead. But for the majority of the players out there, I just wouldn't recommend it. Alrighty, that's all I want to say. Back to the video. So, if you ever get Nearl the Radiant Knight, do not do what I did and M6 her with your limited resource. Okay, if you have infinite resource, whatever you like. But if you are a free-to-play like myself in the Chinese version of the game, I would recommend skill 2 M3. Trust me, it is worth it. Skill 3, less recommendation from my side. Now, I hope that helped you guys understand these operators a bit more, and hope you guys get a good pull on this banner. Oh, okay, I have to talk about the module first. I forgot to talk about the module because I didn't really unlock it. Okay, so she gets plus 70 attack, nice. When she's attacking enemies that is blocked, not blocked by her or whatever, just enemies that are blocked, her attack increased to 115%. It's nice, but considering that she already has really high base attack, the buff, it's like 200 extra attack, something less than 200 extra attack. It's nice, but it's not, and obviously you will probably unlock it anyway, but it's not a huge deal. I've never had a problem where I was like, oh my god, I really lack this bit of damage from Nearl. She does perfectly fine even without the module. So if you're lacking in a bit of a resource and you can't really unlock her just yet, I have the resource here, but I don't want to do it yet because 3rd anniversary is coming. So you can wait it out just like me. You can wait a bit, and then once you got the material and you don't forget to unlock the module like I did, I keep forgetting about unlocking modules, then you can do it later on, just not at the start when you're lacking resources. Good. Now, that's the real end of the video. Hope you guys get really good pulls like I can get. I'm hoping I get really good pulls. And I'll see you guys in the pulling video. See you guys next time. Bye.